Welcome. You're listening to the Growortho podcast, presented by HIP. This podcast is dedicated to orthodontists who want to stand strong in their market and be leaders in their community. Now, on to today's show. Introduce yourself, where you're at, your company, and how long you've been doing this.
Hi, Steve Adams here, and I am the CEO and founder of Tiger Medical Institute. Tiger Medical is a company that helps driven professionals recover and optimize their health by guiding them in a medical transformation. We work with dentists primarily, but we also will work with entrepreneurs and other high achievers. Our company is all about helping you for those people who are, middle-aged and older who have had a challenge, a struggle with the traditional healthcare system, finding a solution to the way that they feel. And they're not classified yet with a diagnosis of a disease, but they know they're just not feeling right. That was my story. And we have developed a comprehensive process to take you on a journey for a year where we help you get to the root cause, the underlying mechanisms of what is causing you to feel the way you do, and having a lot of success helping people like you then enjoy your life and live better.
That's amazing. And that's kind of part of my story too. I'm a little bit younger, but ran into that starting the business, getting married, realizing debt, health issues. And so we'll chat more about that too, but excited to chat with you today. Tell me a little bit about you and what you guys do.
Well, we are really a medical restoration company. We target 45 to 70-year-old dentists. We work with entrepreneurs, we work with lawyers, CEOs, but when you do outbound, you have to niche, and our niche is dentists because they clinically and from a coaching standpoint, they're our best clients. They have a clinical background. The industry is really hard on their bodies. And our doctors have gotten pretty good at getting to the bottom line of what's the underlying mechanisms in their health issues for dentists. Like because they've worked with enough of them now, they've got a pattern, and they look for specific toxins, things like that. So essentially what we do is we help someone go through a guided medical transformation over the course of a year. And we have all kinds of testimonials now. We're very good at it. And the reason we are is our competitors mainly just do testing and give them information. We do that, but then we actually give them a very precision, personalized plan because we do very high-level genetics. And then our doctor and the coach go on a whole journey where they meet with them regularly for a year. Because if you don't change your lifestyle, because these guys arrive at 45, 50, 60 years old. They've lived a certain way their whole life. And the big message I'm trying to help them with is you've worked hard your whole life. You've built up this wealth. And if you don't get proactive about your health, you're going to lose your freedom and you're not going to be able to enjoy that wealth.
This kind of ties into my personal mission statement. My mission statement is to help business owners, specifically orthodontists and dentists, make the best decisions with their time, money, marketing, and health.
Nice.
Even here in our office, like I have a sauna, cold plunge, I have a shift wave chair that kind of resets your nervous system, beamer mat, red light.
Good for you, man.
That's something that I'm very passionate about too. Obviously, I don't do it through selling a service.
Sure.
Kind of walk me through maybe your background and how you got started with this.
So I was a corporate banker for 14, 15 years.
Wow.
So, did the whole, I had a marketing undergrad and then I got an MBA in finance and I started out doing small loans and ended up doing very large loans later in my career. And then I managed people and then I was a regional bank president in my 30s. But I realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I got into a pet retail chain. Where are you located?
Pensacola, Florida.
Okay, yeah, there might be one there now, but I had a store in Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
But we started with one store in Wisconsin. I'm from Michigan, but we started in Wisconsin, and we grew it to over 40 stores in 6 states. We're the largest franchisee in the entire U.S. for this company. But in the middle of that, I really, to use a generic phrase, I burned myself out. My health wasn't good. I was 53 years old, so I sold to my partners. I took a year off. And in that year of looking for an answer, like regular traditional medicine was not giving me good answers because I wasn't at a disease yet. They couldn't classify it. And so I found a naturopathic MD, fully integrative doctor, and he transformed my life from the inside out. And so I asked him if he wanted to partner, and we created Tiger Medical Institute together.
How does someone typically get started with you? And obviously, I have conversations with dentists and orthodontists all the time where they're burnout, energy's at an all-time low.
Yep.
They've been through the ringer with all these doctors. Nothing's technically wrong with them.
It's my story. Yep.
How does someone kind of find you or how do you find them? What's that look like?
Well, what I've been doing is, have you ever heard of David Phelps from Freedom Founders and Scott Manning from Dental Success? These guys are guys I know, and how I've started is, these are guys I knew from the Dan Kennedy world. They brought me into their mastermind groups, and then a large percentage of them signed up with us. And then we've done a really good job with Scott's group because that was last year. And now they're starting to tell other dentists. I'm also going to be starting to speak this fall, likely with Seattle Study Club. I've been working with them for several months on our presentation because they want it just right for their dentist. So it's going to be speaking, mastermind groups of leaders of groups, podcasting. Eventually, we're doing some digital stuff now, and eventually we're going to, I'm going to get back. I have a podcast, but I want to reposition it and redo it. So we're going to relaunch that. And then I'm coming on podcasts like this. And so that's what we're doing at that level. And then we have a longer term vision. We're going to start opening up local clinics across the U.S. and democratizing this type of care. Because this is a significant investment, but if I can scale it, I can offer elements of it, at the lower cost points locally for people that aren't 45 and making several $100,000 a year. So that's my longer term vision. So that'll be a whole new marketing puzzle we got to solve. How they get started typically is they like you said, they're not sleeping. They have a lack of energy. They have brain fog. They have some pain because of the way they're hunched over. A lot of them have gained visceral fat, the kind that you just can't get rid of. And it's driven by cortisol and not poorly managed stress and poor sleep. That's what causes it. It's not overeating typically. They also, a lot of times will have sexual dysfunction or low libido. Performance is dropping. Some have a concern about Alzheimer's or memory loss or dementia. We're a certified clinic in preventing that. So that's just part of the deal you get when you work with us, is we sort you out that way and make sure your risk is low. And if it's not, we address it. It's usually they feel that. They try to go to a general doctor, and these are great people. The system is built for diagnosis of disease. And when you're pre-disease, you don't have any options. That's where we fill that void, because our doctor at pre-disease finds what's wrong with you when the medical profession says they can't find anything. So I'm a good example. I had all those issues, and they said they run very basic lab panels. I went, and it's very siloed. So I went to this specialist and this specialist for my reflux and bowel issues, and they kept saying nothing, nothing, nothing. I meet with Dr. McNamee, and I have 3 very significant genetic markers that are part of the problem that I have. I have inflammation in multiple pathways in my body that are not acceptable. I have leaky gut. I have dysbiosis of the gut. I have multiple problems that none of my regular doctors had any clue of this. And they didn't even know how to read the labs. And so my doctor systematically went to work on all of those. We got to the root cause of it. We addressed it. A year, but for me it was a little longer because I didn't take care of myself for a long time. About a year and a half, I feel like I'm 30 years old now. And every single presenting issue I brought, he resolved.
Wow.
So we tell that story and people go, wow, that's me, part of that story. I wasn't sleeping well, whatever. And now we have a great website that's generating a ton of SEO because we're a content management strategy. So we have over 100 articles and videos in our learning center, and that's what's driving people to our site.
Mm-hmm.
I've published a couple of books, Unleash the Peak Performer Within You, and also a book called Patient Number One, which is a 80-page book written to dentists, helping them understand there is a place for you, which is us. Then the next step they've got to kind of get in their head is, I can't rely on my insurance to do this. I've got to become a health investor instead of a healthcare consumer. Because a healthcare consumer is outsourcing their billion-dollar asset to an insurance company, and all they're trying to do is do the minimal amount to keep you from dying. And so we have to get them to make that shift. And then once they make that shift and they're committed to change, then the way they get started is they meet with me or one of my other guys. We ensure that there's a good fit. We have about an hour-long health assessment we do. And then they sign up, and then they go into the process of working with a concierge and a doctor and a coach.
It's kind of interesting. I don't want to get into like conspiracy theory or whatever. Sometimes I can jump into that. But with sick care, I do believe that the system is geared to, in some ways, sadly, keep you sick. And a lot of providers may not even know this, but that's where, they're a business. And if you stay sick, guess what? That's good for the business. And so again, a lot of healthcare providers may not even know this, but the system is kind of built for sick care.
It is.
I'll just tell you my personal story real quick because it's kind of, I think, divine somewhat that we're talking and connecting. One, because of my personal mission statement that I shared, but I started in 2014, got married in 2014, realized I had like $200,000 of debt between myself and my wife, lived in an apartment complex paid for by my father-in-law, and
not in a good place.
Quickly kind of became depressed. Didn't even really know I was dealing with depression. Working, sometimes all through the night, not spending a lot of time with my wife, which also added to the stress, depression, and had gained for myself a lot of weight disproportionately. So I just look puffy and inflamed. Yeah. And in late 2018, I decided to make a shift. So went through, all the autoimmune blood work, and I was dealing with significant back pain, sciatica, and neuropathy in my legs and feet. And I literally just got passed around pain management,
silos,
neuro type doctor, functional doctor, and everybody had their different opinion, rheumatologist. And what I realized is I had autoimmune markers. I have one called HLA-B27.
Okay.
And it's really misdiagnosed mainstream. Basically, when you Google it, it's basically says you have bamboo back, your spine gets fused together and yada, yada, yada. But, autoimmune, it just means your body's attacking itself. Right. How can you get it to stop? And so cortisol, stress, eating, diet, products that have bad chemicals, all this stuff adds up. And so I went through a process where I was able to work with someone at the time who pointed me in a really good direction, and I was really dedicated to make a change.
Yeah.
So that's when I got on, this protocol with cold plunges and, Epsom salt baths and saunas and oxygen and EMF mats and all these things. And
you were probably eating differently.
Totally differently. I went autoimmune paleo. Yep. And like you said, changed my life. And, there's still sometimes flare-ups, or I still have to manage it.
Yep.
But it's totally different. And what I've realized, trying to find someone who can systemize this to bring it to my clients or even inside of our business is it's kind of like you're dealing with the artist or the mad scientist, where most people, they don't have a good framework to take people through this journey. They can give you the information sometimes, right? But then you're kind of like left on your own and very much kind of stranded. And it's like, I need to be like, most people need to be handheld through this whole process, guided.
It's almost like the hero's journey. And you just, that is like one of the best ways I have ever heard someone explain the problem of a client and how we addressed it, because that's exactly what my experience was. And that was exactly what I wanted to address. And so that's what that you just really summarize what we do, because like I spent big money with a software engineer and created a proprietary workflow system to make sure that so like imagine you got 100 patients and they all come in at different times, and each client has a 70-step process with us. Try to manage that when that's all mixed up. He solved that. So we know down to 1%, well, if somebody's 32% or 68% done with our program. And so we have built a very robust system to intake someone, get them the right testing, get them through the results and diagnostic and personalization process, and then get them through the health coaching and ongoing doctor care. That's why we're getting such good results, because everybody that comes to us has these issues and they have no idea, because of the way healthcare has been presented to them their whole life. They have no idea how to navigate this. And so that's what we do. We basically literally take people by hand and we navigate them all the way through the process. You know, we had a dentist for 10 years. He had panic attacks weekly. And, you know, those are debilitating. I've had one in my life, and I went on an ambulance ride because I thought I was having a heart attack.
Wow.
Back in my 30s. And so this guy, I'll say he's a guy, Dr. McNamee was able to reverse engineer that. He had a lot of anxiety and a lot of gut issues. And there was a genetic marker for serotonin uptake, and his gut was destroyed. And when he repaired his gut and treated the serotonin issue, within 4 months, he was 50% better. And within a year, now it's like 2 years later, he's not had a single panic attack or a single anxiety episode in 2 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, because Dr. McNamee's, so the way this sounds, this sounds prideful. It's not. What we're trying to become is like the Mayo of naturopathic functional medicine. So there's local functional practitioners, and they're phenomenal people, but they also don't have the system built to take somebody end to end that is at this stage of their life. So what I want to do, that's why when I would do this national chain of clinics, they're going to be our own, or we're going to franchise them, and they're going to be connected to our clinic and have access to the protocols and the software, so that someone at a local level can go through that journey and have it managed. Because doctors are not trained to think this way, you know, systematically. So that's where an entrepreneur and a doctor together can kind of figure this out. You know, one thing I can do, Luke, is tell you like what the process is. Yeah, and it's very simple. Once somebody joins us, you have to think of it at a very high level. We got to find the truth first, okay? So that's the extensive advanced testing. A sample of that is going to be a brain scan in Seattle. You have to come to Seattle one time, and then the rest of the program is virtual. So Seattle testing, and we do that in the first 60 days. So they do the brain scan. They do a couple of other specialty tests locally in Seattle. Also, in the first 30 days they're with us, they do a couple of tests at home as well. So between the two, we get it all done in the first 60 days. So that's the first part, establish a baseline of truth. And we tell people that Dr. McNamee is going to learn things that you can do something about, okay? And then the second step is he is going to take that mosaic of data, and that includes hormone testing, micronutrient testing, gut biome testing, genetic testing. Probably the most advanced genetic company in the world is our partner. And he's going to take all of that, and he's going to be able to deeply personalize your solution. So like the genetics alone, he can treat 10 people who are pre-diabetic 10 different ways, because they all have a unique mix of positive and negative genetic markers. So and our partner has evidence-based research on every single marker and how to treat it. It's literally a puzzle that you can customize, engineer it. So the personalization is step 2 after truth. And then the third step, and this is key, and I've built my whole company We put a stake in the ground. Nobody in none of our competitors anywhere in the world do this to the extent we do. Is you go on a journey of implementation with a very highly trained coach who knows how to get behavior change out of you. So I've put them through the Functional Medicine Academy on health coaching, and they spend a lot of time on the science of behavior change and how to get people to own, the results of these calls. They're not just bump and gum sessions. They're actually accountability and drawing out of you. So testing, personalization, and implementation. So that's how the process works.
That's amazing. And, you shared one success story, but how many doctors or dentists have you guys worked with over the existence of the company?
So we've only treated people on a paid basis in 21, 22, and now the first quarter of 23. The first year in 2020, I had 8 people, 8 entrepreneur friends. I said, look, I'll pay for you to come through our program. I want to do a beta. And out of that, we made a lot of changes and perfected things. And then we did it again in 21 and 22. So we've treated, I can't remember the exact number. It's over 20 dentists and over 20 law firm owners. And then another 30 to 40 entrepreneurs. And so, and a lot of them are still in their program. So we're not at the point of testimonial. We have something like 18 or 20 video testimonials now.
Okay.
Where people we didn't ask. They came to us and said, this has been so transformative. I want to tell the world. So can we do a video? So that's what we do.
Where do you guys see this going, and what's the impact that you want to make? Obviously, this is changing people's lives and giving them more life.
Yep.
How many people do you want to impact?
So I won't say too much about this, but I'm a person of faith. I'm highly purpose driven. I am not in this for my personal aggrandizement or, how much money I'm going to make. Now I'm going to run a profitable business because you can do good when you make money. Right.
Right.
But so I have a very serious goal of, my overriding vision is to help people live better. It's that simple. Help people live better. And the vision really is to disrupt healthcare. Functional medicine as an approach is growing at 18 to 22% a year as an industry, but there is no one on a national level really marketing this and educating people in a way that it becomes more rapidly taken up. And so I'm in the process of raising serious equity capital because I funded this all out of my own. When I made my exit, I used that to fund it. But I need to get serious capital behind this because as we start to get traction, we're going to get attacked by pharma in some way. And so they'll try to find some legal thing we didn't do right or whatever. So I'm going to make sure I'm really batting down with that because what I want to do is, there's an AI company just for functional medicine. We want to build that into our system so that the doctor is assisted. Franchise it throughout the country, North America, even internationally. And when I say franchise, it's a concept, an integrative concept where it includes our IP at the main level too.
Yeah.
And so, it's the impact is millions, not a few people who can afford the money that we charge at the Seattle level.
Steve, it was amazing to chat with you. I know that you're really onto something, and this is going to transform so many people's lives. What do you want to leave people with today?
3 things that they can do. If you want to learn more, go to Tiger MI, like the cat, TIGER, M is in Michigan, I is in international.com. And on there, you can schedule a call if you want to just talk to myself or Troy. That's a 1-hour health assessment, free of charge, and it's a lot of value. Second thing you can do, if you scroll all the way down on our homepage, you can see a white paper on how you can improve your health in the next 90 days. It talks about our 8 Tiger health habits. And third, if you go to tigermi.com/1, like ONE, you can request a free book. I've got a book called Patient Number 1. It is a book written specifically for dentists to learn how they can start to transform their health. What I want to leave you with, Luke, is it is never too late. You can start today getting proactive about addressing how you feel, and you can transform your life. So many people like you have done this. Whether you work with us or not, I encourage you to start getting yourself educated on the root cause approach to medicine. And whether you do it locally or with somebody like Tiger, get started today, because you can change your narrative in terms of your health.
Amazing. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about HIP or any of the topics in this episode, send an email to hello@hipcreativeinc.com. That's hello@hipcreativeinc.com, or jump over to our website at hip.agency.